Hi, I'm Jody. I'm the Fearless Cook, and I'm going to show you how to make Quickles. I'm sure everybody's heard of pickles. Quickles are pickles that we make with a quick brine. A brine is an acid and salt-based solution that will change our fresh vegetables and fruit into a quickle. This is a great way for you to try some new flavors. And also a great way for you to preserve the fresh vegetables and fruits that are coming at us right now in the fall season. So first what I'm going to do is prepare my vegetables. We have a couple today we're going to try. We're going to do some carrots, some cucumbers, and believe it or not, some onions. So I'm going to start with the onions because they need the most work. I'm going to slice it and get rid of some of the outside skin. And the most important thing when we're doing a pickle is that all of our slices be uniform. So they all be around the same size and width so that the brine can do its work. So I'm going to do these onions just about this wide, and I'm going to throw them into this jar right here. And I'm using red onions, honestly, not for any other reason other than that they're prettier. Because when we add the brine, they'll be a nice pink color. And some of us know that you like to eat with your eyes. Something looks pretty, it's a little bit more attractive to us to eat. So I'm just going to cut another 2 onions and get those into the jar. Getting rid of all the hard outside skin that protects the inside fruit of the onion. So, onions out of the way. Now we're going to move on to something a little bit more friendly and go over to our carrots. I'm going to use a smaller jar for the next 2 vegetables, so I don't think I'll need as much of the actual vegetable. So I'm going to start with 2 carrots and see where that gets us. To do the carrots, I cut the tops and the bottoms off, and I'm just going to peel them real quick so that we get to the really pretty fruit of the carrot. So the carrots, we could cut one of 2 ways. I could cut them long into spears, but I think we're going to do little rings, like little coins of carrots, all again the same size. They'll actually take the brine faster, so you'll be able to eat them faster. And now that I'm looking at this, I might need to do 1 extra one. And it looks like I might be able to fit both of these other carrots in there, so I'm going to do those up quickly. All of this is not exact science. It's no big deal. If your carrots look a little weird, they're going to taste good anyway. And so there we go. We have a full pint jar of carrots ready for the brine. And the last thing, the last vegetable I'm going to cut up are these cucumbers. These are Kirby cucumbers. So they're a smaller cucumber, and they're often used for a pickle. They're really simple to cut. They're the easiest of the vegetables that we're using today to cut. So you may not need any help in the kitchen with these. Just a little supervision just to make sure you're doing it safely. But again, I'm going to cut everything the same width, same size, so that the brine acts on all of the vegetables at the same rate. These are going to look most like the pickles that you've probably had at home. But you really can pickle anything. You can pickle, I pickle fruit, I've pickled plums, eggplant, lots of different things. The reason that I like to use pickles is because it helps you get a little bit more mileage out of your vegetables and fruits from the farm market. When we pickle things, we can give them life. They can last for months in the jar. All of our vegetables are ready. We're going to make what's called the brine. This is the solution that is going to change these fresh vegetables to a pickle. So the first thing that I need is some vinegar. I like to use apple cider vinegar just because it's a little bit sweeter. I do have white vinegar here, but we're going to go with the apple cider. So we're going to go with a 1/2 cup of apple cider vinegar. I'm going to pour that into this jar. And then I have my salt. We're going to use 2 tablespoons of salt right into the jar. And now this brine in this jar, I'm going to use for the onions. So I am trying to decide which one of my spices I want to add to this. Whenever we do a pickle, we can add all different kinds of spices. A dill pickle uses dill. We're going to use for the onions a little bit of different spices than we normally would. So I'm going to use 1 tablespoon of coriander seeds. Coriander seeds are actually the seeds from cilantro, which you may know from some different foods that you eat. So we've got the coriander in there, and I'm going to put in some star anise. Star anise is a really strong flavor, has a little bit of a licorice flavor, and it's a beautiful little pod. I'm going to break it up. I'm just going to use 1 because it's really strong, like I said, and I'm going to break up 1 star anise right into the brine. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of cumin seeds, and the next thing we need is a little bit of sweet. So I'm going to use some local maple syrup. I'm going to do same amount of sweet as I did salt, so 2 tablespoons right into there. The next thing that I'm going to add is some boiling water that I boiled over here. I'm going to do 2 cups. Here's 1. And I'm going to shake it up into this jar here so that I can just get the solution mixed in slightly. I spilled a little bit. Now I'm going to pour this solution right over these onions. And so this is one of those things that gets a little bit messy. No big deal. You can put it into a little pan to catch it. And be careful because the solution is a little warm. We want it to be warm though because that's what's going to do some of our cooking. Just push it down slightly. And now I'm going to take the top to the jar and put it on. Might have to give it a little bit of elbow grease to get it on there. Maybe ask somebody to help. And so here they are in the jar. I'm going to turn them over once just to watch the bubbles go up to the top so that we know that it's getting circulated throughout the vegetables. Do it again. And right now, those pickles are ready to just sit and wait for us. As long as they have about 2 hours, they will be changed from the raw, spicy onion flavor to a more sweeter pickled onion. I have a little bit left over, and in that I am the fearless cook, I'm going to use what I got. So we're going to use the rest of this brine to add to our carrots. You can play with all of these spices. Any spice you like, you can try it out because that is how we figure out the kind of flavors that we enjoy. So I'm going to do a 1/4 cup of the apple cider vinegar and add that here. And I'm going to go with another tablespoon of the maple syrup. Because I had a tablespoon of maple syrup, I'm going to go with a tablespoon of the salt. I'm going to add just a little tiny bit of crushed red pepper flakes. I'm going to go with 1/2 cup of water. Put that in there. So I'm going to pour this right on top. There we go. So the carrots are covered. The brine is in there. I feel like it's going to leak a little bit, so I'm going to put it over my little dish so that I don't spill it too much. So now these spices are already starting to move around, but I'm going to turn them upside down again. Do it once. I'm going to do it 2 times. I can see all of the different little spices floating inside the jar, so I know that that pickle has started. And so last, I'm just going to get rid of this brine. And we're going to start fresh with a brine for our cucumbers. I'm going to try to do a quick dill pickle for the cucumbers. just because it's pretty familiar. So I have the vinegar, that's a half a cup of vinegar again, 2 tablespoons of the salt. I'm going to add that into here. And it's okay that there's some left in here because I'm going to put the hot water in there and that will melt the salt into where it needs to go. Some local honey. So I'm going to use, I just used 2 tablespoons of the salt, so I think you can probably guess how many tablespoons of the honey. I'm going to go with 2, equal amounts. And I have some fresh dill. So because it's fresh, I'm going to use a little bit more than I would have if it were dry. So if it were dry, I'd be using 1 tablespoon. I'm going to actually use, I'm going to do a quick chop of it so that they're smaller pieces. I'm going to use 2 tablespoons of the fresh dill. And then I have some dry dill. I'm going to do 1 tablespoon of the dry dill. So we have 1 tablespoon of the dry dill, and now I'm going to need this hot water to kind of clean everything off. And it really will. Okay, so I have just about a cup of hot water. I'm going to pour it so that I can get it on that spoon to get everything off the spoon. There we go. All right. Move this out of the way. Put this here, and I'm going to shake up this brine. And I'm going to slowly pour this over, maybe in our little pan here, so that if I spill, pour it right in there, just until I reach the top. There's going to be lots of dill in here, which will be okay. All of it is really edible. When you're eating your pickles, you can eat the dill. So I'm turning this over once, and now twice. And so now, there we have 3 different kinds of pickles created with the same recipe, different spices to get some different flavors. So like I said, this is a great way for you to try some new flavors, and also a great way for you to preserve the fresh vegetables and fruits that are coming at us right now in the fall season, and so you could try some local things. And so I hope that you do. I'm the Fearless Cook, and I hope to see you again. Thank you. Thanks for watching. So click here to subscribe, and click here to watch the last video.